Your attention, masters, mistresses. All systems functional for the Everything Geek podcast.
Hey, this is Rich McDonald, and I play Commander David Mason on Call of Duty Black Ops 2. And you're listening to Everything Geek podcast.
Hey, it's James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Master Plo Koon in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Everything Geek, the podcast.
Hey, it's Leif Gamfert. I played Uncle Ben's killer in The Amazing Spider-Man, and you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldavar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek podcast.
You're listening to the Everything Geek podcast, bringing you interviews from your favorite films and TV shows every week, and all of the latest news. Here's your host, Rory Williamson.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast. I'm your host Rory, and joining me are co-hosts Lawron.
Hello.
And Al.
Hello.
And also joining us today is a very special guest. We have actress Pixie Le Knot, who is best known for playing Kayla in Game of Thrones. So how are you today, Pixie?
Good, thanks. How are you?
We're very well, thanks. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the podcast.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So getting right into the questions, my first question for you is, how did you decide you wanted to become an actress?
I didn't really ever want to be an actress. I was a gymnast and a dancer as a child, and then I became a contortionist and an acrobat. And it wasn't really until after Game of Thrones that I started getting acting work, and I love it. So that's how I became an actress.
It's very interesting, thank you. My second question is, how did you get cast as Kayla in Game of Thrones?
I was really lucky. It was I guess it was 3 years ago now, and they were just looking for a contortionist in the UK, and they just emailed me, and I said I'd never heard of it at the time, but then I looked at what it was, and I said, yeah, of course, I'd love to do it. So yeah, I was just lucky. I guess it's quite lucky because there's not many people in this country that do contortion, so I didn't have that many people to choose from.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you're even regarded as the UK's leading contortionist. Is that right? Something like that.
Well, something like that. But there aren't many of us, so it's not so difficult.
Yeah. Still a good thing to say, though. You can just, pretend there's a lot of them and say you're the top. Yeah. But moving on to my third question, what was it like working with the cast and crew of Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones was amazing. It was such a great experience to have, having not done much before. And yeah, the writers, all the actors, all the crew were just so nice. And yeah, it was just so much fun, so exciting. And yeah, I loved it. It was great.
That's great. Moving on to my fourth question. For our listeners who don't know what a contortionist is, can you explain in detail what it is and how you decided to become one?
My kind of contortion is an extreme form of acrobatics, so it's extreme flexibility, but involving acrobatic moves. So kind of I guess it's kind of like gymnastics, but really flexible gymnastics. And I decided to become one after being a gymnast and a dancer as a child, and always being one of the most flexible children in the class. And then one day seeing a contortionist on TV, and I thought that maybe I could do that. And then I went to a circus school to train, and then I joined a circus.
It's very interesting. And can you talk about the circus a little bit? How you started off there?
Everyone wants me to talk about the circus, but there's not much to say really. I just did one season in a traditional circus, and it was just really, it's just really hard work, and it was just hard work, loads of traveling and shows every day. You don't get any breaks, so it's definitely much more fun doing films and TV.
Definitely, it sure sounds like it's hard work. My final question is, do you have any upcoming acting roles or any other projects you would like to talk about?
I've got a film that's just about to be released called It Never Sleeps, which is another horror film that I've done, and then a film called My Feral Heart, which I shot just before Christmas, which should be released soon as well. So they're both really exciting because I have like major roles in both of them.
Very exciting. We'll definitely keep an eye out for those then. So thank you very much, Pixie, for answering my questions. I'll let my co-host Lawron ask his now.
Okay, cool.
All right, well, I've got a few questions here for you. My first question is, what's been your favorite project to work on?
I think all my filming jobs have just been so much fun. I mean, definitely Game of Thrones has helped my career the most, and it was so much fun and amazing to work on as well. But also, like, I loved doing my two latest films, My Feral Heart and It Never Sleeps, and then I love doing Get Your Act Together for ITV, and I love doing The Devil Inside as well, which was my first ever filming job. There's just so many, but yeah, they've all been really different and really good fun.
Awesome. Yeah. My next question for you is, what is the process of filming a scene in Game of Thrones like, and what kind of preparation goes into a scene before actually being able to shoot? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
My first scene in season 3 took a really long time. I think just the way it was set up, the room and everything, it just took hours and hours. So it was really hard work for just a short scene, and it's just so many. You wouldn't believe how many takes you have to do, which is really hard when you're doing something so physical. But I mean, it's crazy as well how many people are on set. There's like 30-40 people on set watching you.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just, I suppose you don't think about when you're watching it. And then the second episode that I did was quite quick, in the one in Croatia, so that was too difficult.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
And my last question for you, Pixie, is what's your favorite Game of Thrones season? Which season was your favorite?
Well, I'd have to say season 3, because I love doing that episode, and it was my first one, and it did great things for me. So I love season 3.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for answering my questions, Pixie. I'm going to go ahead and let our co-host Al ask his. He has a few questions for you.
Okay, cool.
Hi, Pixie. Thanks for answering our questions. I've only got a few questions for you. For your first sort of episode or first scene in the Game of Thrones, was those your best moves that you put on, or were you sort of instructed to sort of put on something?
They kind of left it to me. They had a vague idea. They just said something. Well, I knew what the scene was, and I just kind of thought what would be fun and appropriate for the scene. But they didn't have it in mind, exactly that move. And yeah, now that's the Meereenese knot.
So they just said that. So you're the creator of the Meereenese knot, I take it. Awesome. I mean, how well do you know the Game of Thrones franchise? Because you said that you weren't really aware of it. Was that because it was so early on or something?
Yeah, it was only, so when I filmed it, they'd only just done season 2, I think, when I got cast. So I didn't really know much about it then. I didn't really know how big it was and how lucky I was until after it came out, I think.
You mentioned Croatia. Was that the same place where it was shot?
I shot the first episode, one season 3, in Belfast in the brothel, and then the second one, the wedding, that was in Croatia.
Right. Have you been to? Are you from Belfast at all? Or?
No, I live in London.
Okay. Yeah. So, in Croatia, was there anything interesting you can tell us about that?
We were in Dubrovnik, which is beautiful. So it was great to have like a little holiday, and yeah, it's just a really nice town. There's loads of stuff to see. It's just really relaxing. So I was really lucky.
Yeah, the weather looked like really great over
Yeah,
there.
really, yeah.
I mean, who's your favorite character on the show or a cast member that you've met?
I mean, everyone was just so nice. But I remember Charles Dance was just so funny while we were shooting the wedding scene, and he was just always making me laugh. And he really looked after me as well. And also Roger Ashton Griffiths, he was great as well. It really looked after me. But obviously, Peter Dinklage is super nice as well.
Wow, so you actually had conversations with Charles Dance?
Yeah, he's a really nice guy.
Legendary actor.
Yeah,
Cool.
is he?
And what was your favorite episode that you like out of season 3? I take it.
Well, of course, the one with me and.
Yeah, that episode was pretty big. Yeah, that's it. Thanks so much. That's all my questions. I'll just pass you over back to Ruari.
Okay, I'm back, and it feels like I wasn't gone for long. Yeah. Okay, we have a question from one of our listeners. What football team do you support?
Oh, I don't really do football. Sorry.
That's fine. Oh yeah, that counts. That definitely counts. Yeah. So I believe that's all of our questions to you, Pixie. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
And hopefully we can talk to you again at some point.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I'll talk to you soon then. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Check out our website, www.everythinggeekpodcast.com/EGP. Check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/everythinggeekp. Check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/official-everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our Mixcloud profile, www.mixcloud.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Email us at the following email, everythinggeekpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our companion podcast, Everything Geek Comic Cast, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekcomiccast. Make sure to check out the hosts' YouTube channels. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/Sepidus Lawron's is www.youtube.com/user/StarLegend9595. Check out Al's Twitter, twitter.com/mygerma. Check out Pixie Le Knot's website, www.pixieleknot.co.uk, and check out Channel 138 where we broadcast live from, www.channel138.com. So geeks out, everyone.
First of all, Robin Lord Taylor and I have become very, very dear friends. So we were outrageously enthusiastic to get to work together again. And then secondly, it just feels so appropriate that our worlds
and see more of them the way it was presented. But I think after Cap 2 was so successful and the Russo brothers took over, I think Civil War became something that